2 years after I buried my only daughter, Crystal, I finally returned to the mountain villa I'd bought for her 30th birthday. The moment I saw her rose garden blooming, perfect, freshly watered, my hands started shaking. Who was living here? Then I remembered the hidden security system. I went to check the footage, and what I saw left me frozen in shock. I'm grateful you're here listening to my story. Before we step inside that villa together, tell me, where in the world are you right now, and what time is it there? Your presence means everything. The drive from Nashville to Gatlinburg takes 3 hours on a good day. That late October afternoon, with autumn leaves blazing across the Smoky Mountains, I felt nothing but the weight of 2 years pressing down on my chest. I'd avoided this place since Crystal's funeral. The villa had been my gift to her, $850,000, overlooking the mountains she'd loved since childhood. Now it was just another monthly bill bleeding me dry. My financial advisor had been firm last week. Gordon, you need to sell it. So here I was, making a trip I'd put off for 24 months. I needed to see it one last time. Box up her things. Say goodbye. I turned onto the narrow gravel road winding up through the pines. It was nearly 3 in the afternoon when I reached the gate. I had to stop the car. The wooden gate was gleaming, fresh varnish, new hinges. I'd expected rot and rust after 2 years of abandonment. Then I saw the roses. Crystal's roses. The expensive imported variety that needed constant care, specific fertilizer, careful pruning. They were blooming, full, lush, perfect. The soil around them was dark and damp. Someone had watered them that morning. My pulse quickened. Those roses should have died within months. The padlock turned smoothly. The gate swung open without a sound. I walked up the stone path, my hands starting to shake. The front door unlocked easily. I stepped inside and stopped. Lavender. Fresh lavender air freshener, the same kind Crystal used to buy from that shop downtown. The living room looked like a magazine spread. Spotless leather sofa, polished hardwood floors. Afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating fresh-cut wildflowers on the dining table. My chest tightened. In the kitchen, I opened the refrigerator. My hands were trembling now. It was full. Fresh milk dated 3 days ago. Vegetables, fruit, eggs. Leftover pasta in a glass container. I gripped the counter to steady myself. Someone was living here. In my daughter's house. Who would do this? How did they get in? I was about to call the police. My hand went into my jacket pocket. My wallet, my phone, they were all in the car. Then I remembered something Crystal never knew about. When I'd had this place built, I'd installed a hidden security room behind a bookshelf in the upstairs office. Cameras in every corner recording everything to a hard drive. Crystal had thought I was paranoid, so I'd kept it secret. But the system was still there, still watching. I looked up at the ceiling where I knew a camera was embedded in a smoke detector. If someone was living here, the cameras would have caught everything. My hands were shaking as I climbed the stairs to Crystal's old office. I'd barely been inside the house 10 minutes yet. Everything already felt altered. The office was exactly as she'd left it. Her desk by the window, her favorite fountain pen in its holder, her shelves filled with mystery novels. Only I knew what hid behind those shelves. I went to the third shelf, slid my hand along the bottom edge, and pressed the concealed panel. A quiet click sounded. The bookshelf shifted forward. I pulled it open just enough to slip inside. The hidden room was small, 8 by 8 feet. 3 dark monitors lined a narrow desk. When I powered the system, the hum of equipment vibrated through the cramped space. I entered Crystal's birthday as the password. The dashboard opened, revealing live feeds of the living room, kitchen, and master bedroom empty. At least for now I was alone, seeking answers. I opened the recordings from the previous evening, time-stamped 8 o'clock. At first the rooms were empty. I fast-forwarded. Suddenly on the living room feed, the front door opened and the lights flicked on. A man walked in with the ease of someone who owned the place. He wore a loose linen shirt and soft cotton pants, the kind Crystal always bought for comfort. When he turned toward the camera hidden behind the wall clock, his face came into full view. Chandler, my son-in-law, my dead daughter's husband. My chest tightened. He had spent 2 years crying poverty, asking me for loans, claiming his business was collapsing. Yet here he was, living comfortably in Crystal's villa. But the shock wasn't over. Chandler flopped onto the sofa, turned on the TV, and called upstairs. "Babe, want something to drink?" A woman descended the stairs, wearing a silk nightgown, her hair loose, her walk confident. When she stepped under the chandelier, the camera caught her face clearly. Mallory, Crystal's best friend, the woman who had held my hand at the funeral, the woman who claimed she was too overwhelmed to visit this villa even once. Yet here she was, living with Chandler as though the house belonged to them. I turned up the volume, my hands trembling. Mallory brought him a tray of fruit and 2 glasses of wine. She sat too close. Chandler wrapped an arm around her. She leaned against him. "It's perfect here," Chandler said, sounding satisfied. Taking care of this place was worth it. Mallory fed him an apple slice and smirked. "Better than selling it cheap to that clueless old man. Gordon will never suspect anything. He thinks you're the devoted son-in-law and I'm the faithful friend." Clueless old man. The words hit like a blow. Chandler stood and paced. "How long do we keep hiding? When can we put the house in our names? I'm tired of pretending to be broke." Mallory laughed coldly. "Relax. Everything takes time. We already got rid of Crystal 2 years ago without a trace. Property transfers are nothing." My breath vanished. I replayed the line to be sure. "We already got rid of Crystal 2 years ago without a trace." My body shook uncontrollably. Crystal's death had always been labeled a natural heart attack. No autopsy, no questions. 2 years of grief now shattered by this confession. "Don't say that out loud," Chandler warned. "If anyone hears, we're done." "Who's going to hear us?" Mallory mocked. "This estate is isolated. Gordon won't come back, and the locals don't care." Before I could gather myself, a sudden engine roar sounded from the driveway. I checked the exterior feed. Chandler's white SUV was pulling in. They were coming back. Within seconds, everything shifted from discovery to survival. I checked the exterior camera. Chandler's white SUV stopped beside my sedan. He stepped out, saw my car, and froze. "Whose car is this?" he snapped, circling it. "It's Gordon's." "What the hell is he doing here?" Mallory exited, her face draining of color. "He said he was in Savannah." "Why would he come here? I don't know, but he can't see us," Chandler muttered, pulling something from his pocket. "Find him. Now." My heart pounded. They had killed Crystal. If they found me, I'd be next. Chandler was younger, stronger, and desperate. I shut off the monitor so no light leaked out. Darkness swallowed the hidden room. Downstairs, the front door slammed open. Gordon Chandler's voice echoed through the house. Heavy footsteps moved across the floor. "He's not down here," Mallory called. "Check upstairs." Cold dread surged through me. The tiny room had no exit except the bookshelf. They were coming. My eyes went to the ventilation grate. My only chance. I climbed onto the desk, removed the grate, and pulled myself into the narrow duct. Metal scraped my arms as I crawled through dust and darkness. Behind me, Chandler burst into the office. "Check behind that bookshelf. I always thought it looked weird." I crawled faster, ignoring the stabbing pain in my elbows. The duct twisted sharply. Then I saw a faint light ahead, an exterior vent opening onto the back roof. I kicked it out and squeezed through onto slick shingles as rain began falling. Below was a 12-foot drop. Shouts erupted inside. They had found the open vent. No time. I lowered myself over the edge and let go. I hit the ground, hard pain exploding in my ankle. Gritting my teeth, I limped toward the rose garden, the only path to the back wall. Thorns tore my clothes and skin blood streaking my hands. The stone wall rose before me 6 feet high. I jumped, grabbed the top, and hauled myself over my ankle, screaming. I dropped onto the gravel shoulder of the mountain road. For a moment, I lay gasping in the rain. Then Chandler shouted from inside. He went over the wall. "Get the truck." I forced myself up and ran. Down the mountain highway. No plan, no phone. Just fear driving me forward. My wallet held $200 and an ATM card, but my phone keys and laptop were still in the villa. All the evidence, too. Rain hammered harder, the cold slicing through my clothes. Each step sent shocks of pain through my injured ankle. Headlights appeared behind me, Chandler's truck. I dove into the trees, hiding behind a pine as he sped past hunting. When his taillights vanished, I returned to the road and kept moving. Time blurred. My lungs burned. My legs trembled. Blood and rain dripped from my hands onto the asphalt. By the time distant lights appeared through the fog, it was nearly 6. I had been walking for hours, soaked, injured, terrified, and worst of all, I had left every piece of evidence behind. I limped down the mountain highway for what felt like hours. Rain soaked through my jacket, and blood from the rose thorns had dried on my hands. It was nearly 8 p.m. when the lights of a small diner appeared through the fog. Inside, only a trucker sat at the counter with an elderly woman behind it. She took one look at me and grabbed a towel. "You all right, Juan?" "My car broke down up the mountain," I rasped. "Could I use your phone?" She guided me to the old landline by the kitchen. "Take your time." With shaking hands, I dialed Bernard, the only number I remembered by heart. We went back 40 years. Business partners, divorce, survivors, wedding toasts. If anyone would help, it was him. He answered on the second ring. "Gordon." "Bernard, I need help. Can you wire me $3,000 tonight?" He didn't ask why. "Western Union or bank transfer?" "Western Union. I'm in Gatlinburg." "Give me 30 minutes." That was Bernard, no questions, no hesitation. I thanked the diner owner, ordered coffee I couldn't drink, and waited. My burner phone bought with my last $50 at a gas station buzzed exactly half an hour later. Bernard had sent the money and added 2 words, "Stay safe." I picked up the cash, checked into the Pinewood Lodge motel, and collapsed. But sleep didn't come. My mind replayed the recording, Mallory's laugh, Chandler's smirk. We already got rid of Crystal. Morning came with one clear goal: find proof. I headed to Mountain View Pharmacy, Crystal's regular place. Connor, the young pharmacy tech who'd always been kind to her, looked startled when I walked in with bandaged hands. "Mr. Fletcher, I heard about the villa. Are you okay?" "I need your help," I said quietly. "I need to see Crystal's prescription history the last month before she died." His face drained of color. "Sir, I can't just—" "Connor, something was wrong about her death. Please." After a tense pause, he checked the empty store, then pulled up her file. We stared at the screen. "This doesn't make sense," he murmured. Her heart medication, the one we filled for 2 years, was canceled. Replaced with this. He pointed to an entry, an unregulated herbal heart supplement, $400 a month, not covered by insurance and risky for someone with her condition. "Who authorized the change?" I asked. He clicked deeper. His jaw dropped. "It says, you did. There's an authorization letter with your signature." "I never signed anything." He printed the document. The signature looked like mine, but wrong, shaky, sloppy. And the date chilled me. That week I'd been hospitalized with severe flu. I couldn't have signed anything. "Connor," I said, "do you remember who picked up this prescription?" He closed his eyes, thinking. A woman. Long, dark hair. She said she was a close family friend. Paid cash every time. His brow furrowed. She had a gold bracelet with a big letter M. Mallory, my daughter's best friend, had poisoned her. I folded the documents and slipped them into my jacket. "Connor, please keep this between us." "Mr. Fletcher." "Shouldn't you go to the police?" "Not yet," I said. "Because going to the police would be too easy for them? Lawyers, negotiations, maybe a plea deal. Maybe Chandler's family money would soften everything. Maybe they'd get 10 years or 5 or less. No. They needed to feel what Crystal felt: the betrayal, the fear, the slow dawning that the people you trusted most wanted you gone. I had proof now, but what I needed was justice, and I intended to get it. I sat in the motel room for hours, staring at the forged signature and my daughter's name on the bottle of poison. The afternoon light crawled across the thin carpet, and I watched it move like time slipping past. By sunset, I knew exactly what I had to do. Going to the police would only hand them lawyers, a trial, excuses, deals. They could sit in comfortable chairs, deny everything, and maybe walk away with light sentences. That wasn't justice. I needed them to break from within, to turn on each other, to feel the same fear and paranoia Crystal must have felt before she died. Around 4, I picked up the burner phone and dialed Chandler's number. My hands were steady. I had practiced this moment repeatedly. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello." I let my voice tremble, weak and confused. "Chandler, it's Gordon. I went to the villa yesterday." A long pause. "Gordon, where are you?" "We saw your car. What happened?" "I saw her." I forced a shaky breath. "I saw Crystal. Her ghost. Standing on the porch staring at me. I panicked. A truck driver drove me down the mountain. I can't go back. Silence. I could hear him calculating. Gordon, that's grief, he said, voice softening. Your mind playing tricks. There are no ghosts. I know what I saw, I whispered. She looked angry, like I failed her. You didn't fail anyone. He sounded more confident, now convinced I was unraveling. Where are you? I'm staying with Bernard in Nashville. I can't drive back. Could you bring my car? I'll pay you for the gas. Of course. You don't need to pay. We're family. Relief leaked into his voice. I'll bring it by Bernard's place tomorrow. Thank you, son. The word tasted bitter. I don't know what I'd do without you. After hanging up, I sat in silence. I could picture him telling Mallory the good news the old man is losing his mind, seeing ghosts no threat at all. Let them believe that. That night, once I was sure they felt safe again, I sent the first message. I'd bought a second burner phone, paid cash, no ID. I typed the text slowly. That herbal remedy tasted bitter, didn't it? I saw you two at the pharmacy that day. I hit send, waited for delivery, then removed the battery. I imagined Chandler reading it, maybe driving with Mallory beside him, his face draining of color, hands tightening on the wheel. Mallory's panic rising as she asked, Who sent this? Who knows about the pharmacy? And Chandler snapping back, You said Connor wouldn't talk. You said you paid him. I did, it can't be him. Then who, Gordon? He's a grieving old fool who sees ghosts. But doubt would wedge itself between them. Fear would twist their thoughts. Every phone call, every sound in the night, they'd question everything and each other. Fear doesn't just scare you, it corrodes trust. I imagined them arguing voices, sharp old certainty crumbling, the alliance that killed my daughter cracking just slightly at first. But I would keep pressing, keep pushing, until the fracture widened and shattered completely. I lay back on the motel bed and closed my eyes. Let them tear themselves apart. Fear is a virus, and I had just infected them both. For the next 2 days, I didn't stop. I sent more messages, each crafted to feed their paranoia. Crystal trusted both of you. Look what you did. The cameras saw everything. I kept them vague, threatening enough to terrify, but never specific enough to trace. I wanted them looking over their shoulders, doubting everything. Because Chandler and Mallory didn't understand what I had learned, greed and fear make terrible partners. On the evening of day 4, I sat in my motel room, staring at the burner phone. I had been thinking about this for hours. I didn't have a tracking app. I didn't know where they were or what they were planning. But I didn't need to. I had psychology. If I could convince Chandler that Mallory was betraying him, he'd destroy her himself. And if I was lucky, she might already be doing something suspicious. Something that would make my lie feel like truth. So I typed one more message, this time only to Chandler. Your partner is selling your house behind your back. Old warehouse near exit 407 Sevierville. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Don't let her run off with your money. I hit send, turned off the phone, and removed the battery. It was a complete fabrication. I had no idea if Mallory was selling anything, but their collapsing alliance and Chandler's paranoia would take care of the rest. Day 5. I woke early and waited. Around 11 a.m., my gamble paid off in a way I never expected. I was driving along a back road near Gatlinburg when I heard sirens, police, ambulance, fire truck rushing toward the mountain highway between Sevierville and Gatlinburg. I pulled over at a gas station and called 911 from a payphone. There's been a car accident on Route 441 near the overlook, I said, disguising my voice. A sedan went off the road. I hung up and drove after the emergency vehicles, staying far behind. When I reached the scene, I parked on the shoulder and raised the binoculars I'd bought at a hardware store. There it was, Mallory's silver sedan crushed against a tree. The front end was mangled, rain still slicking the road, and Chandler stood beside it, soaking wet, holding a tire iron. I watched him wrench open the driver's side door and drag Mallory out. She was alive, but injured, limping, clutching her ribs. She tried to resist crying as she pulled away, but he was stronger. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. The rage on his face said everything. My lie had worked. Somehow Chandler had gone through her belongings and found something, property documents, messages, whatever it was. It convinced him she was betraying him. And now he was dragging her back to the one place he believed was safe, the villa. I watched as Chandler forced Mallory into his truck and sped off gravel, spraying behind him. I waited until the police finished securing the crash site. Then I started my engine and followed slowly, cautiously, keeping distance. I knew exactly where he was headed, and this time I'd be there first. Years ago, long before Crystal ever knew, I had hidden a backup key under a loose stone near the garden shed. I'd installed the security system myself, never telling her. I had always been careful, prepared. Now that preparation mattered more than ever. I looked into the rearview mirror as the mountain road twisted ahead. The rain was clearing. Somewhere up the road, Chandler was racing back to the villa, convinced the $1, $2 million in gold, was still locked in the safe. He had no idea what awaited him. I whispered into the empty car, "Let the games begin." I'd reached the villa hours before them, using the backup key I'd hidden years ago beneath a loose stone on the back porch. By the time the sun set and the storm rolled in, I was ready. The hidden control room was exactly as I'd left it, dusty, cramped, but fully functional. A wall of monitors showed every corner of the house. Speakers, lights, locks, even the lavender diffuser I'd installed in the hallway years ago when Crystal complained about the musty smell. Everything connected to a single tablet on the desk in front of me. I'd built this system to protect her. Now I'd use it to destroy the people who'd killed her. At 8 p.m., headlights cut through the rain. Chandler's pickup truck skidded to a stop in the gravel driveway. I watched on the screen as he dragged Mallory out. She was limping badly, clutching her ribs soaked to the bone. He shoved her through the front door and slammed it shut. Then he grabbed a bookshelf and dragged it in front of the entrance, barricading them inside. Mallory collapsed on the couch, shivering. Chandler didn't even look at her. He went straight to the fireplace, pulled a hammer from his jacket, and started smashing the wall. Thunder rumbled outside. Lightning lit up the room in flashes. I leaned forward and pressed the first button. Stage 1 darkness. Every light in the house went out. Mallory screamed. Chandler fumbled for his phone, turning on the flashlight. "It's just the power," he snapped, his voice shaking. "The storm knocked it out. Calm down." But I could see his hands trembling as he went back to hammering the wall. Stage 2 music. I activated the ceiling speakers on the second floor. A soft melody filled the house, Chopin's Nocturne, in E-flat major, Crystal's favorite. Chandler froze mid-swing. Mallory's head snapped up. "Who turned that on?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Chandler, we need to leave. Now." "Shut up," he barked. "It's probably on a timer or something. Just give me a minute." But his voice cracked. He didn't believe it either. Stage 3 lavender. I pressed another button. The hallway diffuser activated, releasing the scent of lavender, the same brand Crystal used to buy every month. Mallory bolted upright, eyes wide with terror. "That's her perfume," she choked out. "That's Crystal's perfume. She's here, Chandler. Her ghost is here." Chandler spun around, hammer raised. "There's no such thing as ghosts." But his face was pale. Sweat dripped down his temples despite the cold. Stage 4, the rocking chair. I switched to the master bedroom camera. The rocking chair sat in the corner, the one Crystal used to sit in while reading. I'd installed a small motor beneath it years ago, just a novelty feature to make it rock gently on command. I activated it now. Chandler must have heard the creaking because he bolted upstairs, flashlight beam bouncing wildly. When he reached the bedroom doorway, he stopped, dead. The chair was rocking, slowly, steadily, as if someone invisible were sitting in it. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." Downstairs, Mallory was sobbing uncontrollably, curled up in the corner. Stage 5, the safe. Chandler stumbled back down the stairs, his face twisted with a mix of terror and rage. He returned to the wall and swung the hammer with manic desperation. Plaster exploded, dust filled the air, and then there it was. A steel safe door with a numeric keypad embedded deep in the wall behind the fireplace. Chandler dropped the hammer and grabbed the keypad with shaking hands. He tried their wedding date. Incorrect. He tried the day Crystal died. Incorrect. He tried his own birthday. Incorrect. "Come on," he screamed, slamming his fist against the metal. "Open, you piece of—" "Forget the money," Mallory shrieked from across the room. "This place is haunted. We need to go." Chandler whirled on her, eyes wild. "I'm not leaving without what's mine." I leaned back in my chair, watching him try combination after combination. Sweat poured down his face. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely punch in the numbers. He'd never guess it, Only someone who truly loved Crystal would know the code the day I first held her as a newborn. June 15th, 6:15, the most important day of my life. And Chandler Rhodes would never, ever figure it out. Finally, in desperation, Chandler tried one last combination, Crystal's birth date. The safe clicked open. Yes, he screamed, his voice cracking with triumph. Mallory, it's open, He yanked the door wide, shining his phone's flashlight inside. The safe was empty, except for one thing, a tablet screen glowing softly in the darkness. And on that screen, me. I sat in a chair staring directly into the camera. Live. Congratulations, Chandler, I said, my voice cold and steady through the tablet speaker. You opened the safe. Unfortunately, the gold was moved into a secure account 2 years ago, the day after you murdered my daughter. Chandler's face twisted in rage. He grabbed the tablet and hurled it to the floor. It shattered into pieces. Show yourself, old man, he roared. Come out and face me. I stepped out from the hallway and into the light at the top of the staircase. Chandler's head snapped up. He grabbed the tire iron from the floor and charged toward the stairs, boots pounding on hardwood. You think I'm scared of you? He snarled, climbing fast. You're just a weak old man, alone, no police, no one to help you. I held up the remote control in my hand. I don't need help, I said quietly. You're going to destroy yourself. I pressed the button. White smoke exploded from the ceiling vents, thick, choking, blinding. The fire suppression system I'd installed years ago now filled the entire house. Chandler stumbled backward, coughing violently, eyes streaming. He swung the tire iron wildly, unable to see me through the fog. My voice echoed through the speakers embedded in every room. This system was installed to protect us from intruders. I never imagined the intruder would be my own son-in-law. Through the smoke, Chandler screamed, not in pain, in fury. You want the truth, old man? Fine. Yeah, I planned it. I told Mallory to switch those damn pills. My chest tightened, but I didn't move. He kept going, shouting uncontrolled, the words pouring out like poison. Crystal was a spoiled little princess. She had everything handed to her. This $850,000 villa, the trust fund, all of it wasted on her. She didn't deserve any of it. His voice cracked. He was pacing now, swinging the tire iron at nothing. And you, old man, you're next. I'll make it look like an accident, just like I did with her. I stood perfectly still, letting him speak, letting him confess everything. Every word, every crime, every twisted thought. When he finally stopped gasping for breath, I pointed up at the ceiling. Chandler looked up. Cameras, dozens of them embedded in smoke detectors, light fixtures, vents. Small red LED lights blinked steadily on each one. Recording, broadcasting. Those cameras aren't just recording, Chandler, I said, my voice like ice. For the past 15 minutes, they've been live streaming. Detective Russell is watching. Attorney Parker is watching. Bernard is watching. And 20 of Crystal's friends and family members are watching you confess to murdering my daughter. Chandler's face went white. The tire iron slipped from his hand and clattered to the floor. From downstairs, Mallory sobbed. Chandler, what did you do? Outside, sirens wailed. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows, cutting through the smoke. A voice boomed over a megaphone. This is the Sevier County Sheriff's Office. Come out with your hands up. I pressed another button on the remote. The front door unlocked with a soft click. Chandler tried to run, but his legs buckled beneath him. He stumbled down the stairs, collapsing halfway. Officers stormed inside, flashlights, radios, boots thundering across the floor. Hands behind your back now. They yanked Chandler to his feet, cuffed his wrists, and read him his Miranda rights while he stammered incoherently. Downstairs, Mallory was cuffed to still, crying. I walked slowly to the window and watched as they dragged Chandler out into the rain. He fell face first into the mud of Crystal's rose garden, the garden he'd pretended to care for while living in her home, spending her money erasing her memory. Detective Russell met my eyes through the window and gave a single solemn nod. It was over. 6 months later, I sat in the courtroom as the judge read the verdict. It was a cold April morning when justice was finally served. The courtroom was packed reporters, Crystal's friends, Bernard sitting beside me with his hand on my shoulder. The judge, an older woman with a stern face and reading glasses perched on her nose, looked down at Chandler and Mallory without a trace of sympathy. Chandler Rhodes, she said, her voice echoing through the silent room. You are hereby sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder, conspiracy, and fraud. Chandler's knees buckled. He collapsed at the defendant's table. Officers rushed forward to hold him upright. The judge turned to Mallory. Mallory Bennett, 20 years in state prison for conspiracy to commit murder and accessory after the fact. Mallory sobbed openly, her face buried in her hands. "I'm sorry," she choked out. "I'm so sorry." I sat perfectly still. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just watched them with hollow eyes. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. The case had gone viral. Chandler and Mallory's faces were everywhere, shamed, destroyed, their reputations obliterated. But I didn't care about any of that. 1 week after the trial, I visited Chandler at the detention center. I stood in front of the glass partition. He sat on the other side in an orange jumpsuit, eyes red and hollow hands shaking. I didn't say a word. I just placed my hand flat against the glass. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just closure. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. 3 months after the trial ended, I stood once more at the villa's gate. But this time, everything was different. A new wooden sign hung above the entrance, hand-carved and polished. Crystal's Hope Foundation, a safe haven for women and children. I'd spent those 3 months transforming the place. The bedrooms became shelters for women fleeing domestic violence. The living room became a counseling space. The kitchen became a place for cooking classes. And the rose garden, Crystal's garden, became a therapy garden where children could play and heal. On opening day, 5 women and 8 children moved in. Laughter echoed through the hallways for the first time in years. Volunteers bustled around, setting up beds, preparing dinner, hanging welcome signs on the doors. I sat on a wooden bench in the rose garden, watching the children run through the rows of blooming flowers, the same roses Chandler had pretended to care for. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, walked up to me shyly. She had dark curls and big brown eyes. "Mr. Fletcher," she said softly, holding out a single white rose. "This is for you." I took the flower, my throat tightening. "Thank you, sweetheart." She smiled and ran back to join the other kids. I sat there for a long time holding that rose, watching the children play. The sun was warm. The sky was blue. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt something close to peace. I looked up at that clear Tennessee sky and whispered, "Rest easy, Crystal. The house is clean again, just like your heart always was. Evil may win for a while, but it never triumphs forever. In the end, truth and goodness always break through, even through the thickest mountain fog." Looking back now, I realize this true story taught me something I wish I'd understood years earlier. Trust, but verify. I trusted Chandler because Crystal loved him. I trusted Mallory because she was Crystal's best friend since college. But I never asked the hard questions. I never looked closely enough. Don't be like me. Don't wait until it's too late to protect the people you love. If you're a parent, a grandparent, if you have anyone precious in your life, pay attention. Watch who they surround themselves with. Notice the small signs, the inconsistencies, the lies that don't quite add up, the people who seem too interested in money and not enough in love. These grandpa stories aren't just about revenge. They're about regret. Regret that I didn't see the danger sooner. Regret that I didn't save Crystal when I still could. But here's what I learned. Through all the pain, evil doesn't get the last word. God gave me the strength to seek justice when I had nothing left. He gave me the wisdom to turn my daughter's death into something that could help others. And he reminded me that even in our darkest valleys, there's still a chance for redemption. Crystal's Hope Foundation now shelters dozens of women and children every year. That's her legacy. Not the betrayal, not the murder, but hope. So this is my advice from one broken father to anyone listening. Love fiercely, protect wisely, and never ever ignore your instincts. This true story, these grandpa stories, are my warning and my testimony. Every true story carries a lesson. Mine is this: justice may take time, but it will come. If this story moved you, please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another story. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Your support keeps these stories alive. God bless you all.